So yeah, we've got four amazing people who have, you know, very, very, very first-hand knowledge on what it's like to decide to be a YouTuber and then to decide, you know what, I want to do something IRL, I want to do some kind of event, and from inception to execution, the dangers and successes along the way. So I'm very excited. I want to get it started. And I'm just going to let you all again introduce yourself. DJ, if you want to start.
I'm Tori, formerly known as DJ. I run and YTGathering on Twitter, basically.
And it does.
And I play on the 79 Gathering in 2009 in New York.
Woo! Woo!
I'm Sarah Penna. I own a company called Big Frame that manages YouTube talent, and I also ran the DJTour last year. I have several artists who I will talk about who do IRL stuff.
My name's Eileen, and
hold the mic closer.
Oh. It's my first panel, guys.
Ooh.
I, along with Kevin, we put on a playlist.
What Eileen also collectively works on with us is the Dial-Up tour this past year, and Mitchell and Kyle from Live Lava Lives, their show in New Jersey, and then their short run a little while after that. So yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so first question. When you did 789, that was, you know, before DJTour, before Dial-Up, before playlists. What was the scene like back then? Like, when did you decide, you know, because obviously 777 happened, for those of you who don't know. There was a 777 gathering in New York City, and then 888 was in Toronto, yes? Yeah, and then so you decided to put on 789 back in New York City. Why? What was the process? What was, like, getting people together?
It's actually a really simple story. Two of my friends, back in the day, which is like 20 years ago, but it's 3 years. Literally, we just had the idea we wanted to hang out with a bunch of YouTubers. But then, like, even after 777 and 888, it was still sort of awkward. But we had the idea, and we just sort of like started reaching out to people. Like, we want this person here, we want this person here, we want to have all their fans and things like that. And it just sort of grew itself. Like, even though like we had the idea, it just became this big ball. It just kept rolling as more people got involved. Like, you had people telling their fans about it.
Well, how did you reach out to people and get them to, you know, confirm and everything?
Basically, just sending out emails, Twitter, like, replying, like, Philip DeFranco, Shane Dawson, Mitchell Davis, just asking people, like, do you want to come? Would you be interested in this? And they would just sort of help promote it, and it just sort of grew.
Right, because I mean, it wasn't just a middle of one day affair. I mean, there was a specific hotel. There was a whole event planned around it.
Yeah, we knew where we wanted to be. We knew we wanted to be in New York, mainly because of just like certain areas where we were. But yeah, we had to plan. We had to like get the hotel, which was very fun. We had to figure out what we wanted people to do, what areas we wanted to go to, where we wanted to hang out, and things like that. And it was interesting. And it took, we started really planning it hardcore in February, and it was in July, like early July, mid-July. And yeah, it took a long time to get everything set. And even like down to the wire, we had to have Kevin Nolte, who's fantastic. He came through with a permit for us for the last day of 789 to be in Central Park. And probably if we didn't have that, we would have all got kicked out, and it would have been horrible.
Disaster.
Yep.
So what's the biggest thing you learned and kind of the biggest obstacle you overcame in that whole process?
I would say the biggest thing I learned would be don't give up. Like, I had to contact like 15 different hotels trying to get a group rate, because if we were going to have people flying from California and Canada and things like that, we wanted to be as cheap as possible, and everyone could come. So I just had to keep contacting, and it's New York, so it's not very cheap. So eventually we got a hotel, and it was really just getting the official stuff down. That was the biggest thing I learned, just how to do that, how to contact people, how to be professional, which, yeah, I'd say that was the biggest thing I learned.
Very
and
cool.
just getting everyone together.
Right.
That's right.
Very cool. Sarah, you've been, in new media for a while. You worked at Current before moving on into really the YouTube space. How is it, as a head of a network, getting your talent to different live events and setting that up, and kind of from more maybe a managerial business perspective, what is it like to do live events and get your talent to live events?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think that in theory, doing things live is really exciting and really interesting. And in reality, it can be a little terrifying because you can't edit, it can't.
There's no jump cuts in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think the best example was Joe, Mr. Guitar Man, when he decided to do a couple of dates on the DJTour last year. We were like, okay, great, yeah, we're doing, and then he's like, well, actually, I don't really play full songs, so how are we gonna do this? So him and Nice Peter got together and they rigged up this light where he could do stop motion live, and so that to me was a great example of figuring out, okay, I can't edit, but I kind of can, and I can kind of make this work and make it look like what you would normally see, when you go to his channel. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of reward and kind of, the great thing about being online is that you can get that immediate feedback, but it's still kind of anonymous. Getting that immediate feedback when you can actually see their faces, and these guys that I manage and everybody on YouTube works so hard. And sometimes you don't get that appreciation, and you don't get to see wow, these are real people who actually really like me and they like what I do, and this is all worth it. So being on the road also, it's different. The con and playlists are a little different because you're not traveling in buses, but that's a very different experience and very
right. I mean, you did DJTour last year.
Yeah.
I mean, doing a concert is so much better, so much different than doing necessarily a conference or a gathering or live events like that. What do you do if it's a dead crowd? I mean, what do you do when?
Yeah,
did you experience any of those struggles?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think New Jersey was kind of a low point on the DJTour last year because there were a couple factors, Carmen was supposed to be on that date, and then they had to pull out because they were getting signed to a major record label, which was good decision. So there were a lot of people there kind of expecting to see Carmen, and then it was just kind of it created this very weird vibe, and so we just fortunately we had hosts who were really awesome at keeping the crowd going. So I think that was a key element. I mean, having a host at a concert is sort of a unique thing. It's not really a normal scenario.
Yeah, it's not conventional when you go to concerts that aren't hosts.
Yeah, there's not hosts, but for us it was okay, well, we really need to make sure that if this crowd starts getting whoa, this isn't, this kind of flatline, we have someone to kind of hype them up and pick them up.
Because so many of your talent are musicians and musically inclined, and to watch them on YouTube, doing music is so different than, watching music live. Because watching music live and that kind of traditional experience is very lighters and jumping up and down and things like that. But, people, when they, are, sitting at their computer, they're not going crazy. They're very, sedentary. So did you find it hard for the audience to transition from how they watch them online to how they watch them in life?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was definitely filming, which created an interesting dynamic. Nice Peter always does this bit where he's everyone put down your cameras, and then pick them back up and point them all at one person, and it creates this fun kind of interaction. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, because the audience is used to seeing these guys in such a certain way, and you're right, sitting there watching them, not rocking out in their room. I don't think so. I don't picture it that way. But I mean, different acts, people reacted differently. Daystorm is amazing at getting a crowd hyped up and going and jumping and throwing their hands up in the air, and he has flashing, I don't know, glow stick things that he throws out in the crowd, and he's getting stuff from the crowd, and he's doing freestyle with them. So he's actually kind of live interacting with them and getting basically asking for comments that he can freestyle. And so that kind of creating a similar scenario where you're asking for audience engagement and audience feedback and then doing it live, I think really created kind of a perfect scenario for interaction.
And I want to ask the same question, that what was the biggest thing that you learned in that experience, and what's like the most difficult hurdle, not just with, Digitour last year, but just, with your talent now, what is hurdles and difficulties in live events, and what have you learned?
Just one?
No, yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I would definitely say that, just in general, going from a medium of, of watching this stuff on YouTube, basically, for free, and then asking people to kind of pay to either download your album or, come out and see you. I think that it's a challenge, but the reward is so great because, for example, Daystorm is releasing his first album on May 1st, and we're doing pre-sales right now, and they're like through the roof, and they haven't even heard the music. I mean, there's nothing out of this album, but his audience is so supportive, and they want to be there for him, and they want to be the first to have his album, and he's like, giving away fitted caps, and there's just a lot of ways of doing it, and it's so empowering as an artist to be able to, we don't have to have him signed to a major label. He's keeping full creative control. We're the company that's marketing it for him and doing a ton of cool things. And there's a lot of platforms to, kind of support that. So, I mean, I think that the challenge is trying to convince people to pull out their wallets, but the reward is also that, your supporters, you really see how many true supporters you have, and it's really cool experience.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Eileen, I want to move on to you next. You did working obviously on a playlist and Dial-Up Tour were very instrumental. For those that don't know, last year I feel like I was so impressed with you. Like, it felt like you were 5 different people last year, the amount of work that you were doing. Had you ever done a live event like that before?
No way.
So, I mean, what was that experience for you coming in? Like, you'd worked with Kevin for a while, and you obviously, both of you had prepared a lot before a playlist last year, but what was the biggest thing that surprised you and kind of, I guess, going along with lessons and everything, but first, like, biggest thing that surprised you in running playlist last year?
I think that I wasn't expecting things to change as much as they did. Putting on a live production, a live show all the time is you're expecting things to always kind of just come up. But it was really important for us just to always go with the flow and just make sure that everyone was like having fun, because that's why we're here.
Right.
And then I think when we did the Live Level Live stuff, that was kind of just like a little test run for us.
Right.
Because we had a crowd there. That was like my first really experience with like planning a YouTube event, and playlist was just unlike anything else. But I mean, last year was so much fun, and we really learned a lot, and we put it all towards this year. So hopefully this year will be bigger and better.
What was one thing that you learned last year that you hope to change how this year is going?
Well, I'm really pumped that we added Business Day, obviously. And then this year we really wanted to focus on the community a lot more than we did last year. We have some new booths and new things that we're doing in the event room this year. We're going to have a lot of different collaboration community booths, and then technical booths. So YouTubers and content creators can come and help up-and-coming YouTubers with their videos and just tips and stuff, give them some advice. And that was really important for us to do, just because we love the up-and-coming community as much as we love the established one. So we just want to be big supporters of that.
Very cool. And what is the hardest thing before a playlist happens? What's the hardest part of the pre-production? And Kevin, we can move on to you. If Eileen, you want to pass that question off.
What you thought about that? I think it's a lot of just organizing a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of tasks to be done. So it's kind of overwhelming, but this year we got to start a little earlier, which was awesome for us.
I can't imagine the travel coordinating.
Yeah,
that you do.
That feeling was probably.
I mean, my artist alone was several hours on the phone with you. So.
Yeah. The artist coordination with that, flights and stuff. Yeah, all that stuff is it's pretty hard, but it all ends up working out. So.
Yeah. Kevin, how long does it take to plan playlists? I mean, how long did it take to plan last year's, and then how long did it take to plan this year's?
Well, last year's we did in like 6 months because we locked down a date that made a lot of sense for everything that we were doing, and it was really, really close. So that one we did in a really short amount of time, and we felt like we really needed more time. This year, I think we had about really like 9 months. Like we locked in this date about 9 months ago. So we had a lot more time. I know it's not that much more really, but it seemed like it. Can I answer that hardest thing about it question?
Yes, please do. I feel like you've got something big to say.
Well, for me, the first time around, it was the anxiety that no YouTubers would want to come, because it was a brand new thing, and you know, we're a company, and sometimes companies get a little bit excluded by the community, which totally makes sense. So I was worried that nobody would want to come. We started asking people, and by the end, we couldn't bring everybody out that we wanted to. I don't even think we brought Daystorm out. I think he just flew out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I was like,
he just showed up.
That's awesome. So that went away really quickly. The other anxiety was that nobody would, you know, get tickets and come see.
That's a big anxiety doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because it's one thing if like something gets posted and it doesn't get a lot of views, or a T-shirt gets posted and it doesn't sell a lot.
Right.
But like, you have to be there and watch when the people don't show up if they don't show up. And,
how many people showed up last year?
A little over 1,500 last year.
And how many tickets did you sell this year?
Just over 2,000. Wow.
Nice, very nice. Is that growth that you expected, or were you surprised by it?
It's kind of like right in line with what we were expecting. We knew how much room we had at this place, and we really wouldn't be able to do it with many more people than that. We've got a lot of stuff that's probably going to include every single person in the room at once, and like the bands that we're wrapping up with on Sunday night. We kind of think it's going to be packed in there. We're even like pulling some of the stuff out of there right before they play, just in case. So that one we kind of planned for it because of the space, but next year we're hoping to have a lot more space and a lot more people.
Cool. What mistakes did you make last year that you learned from that you got right this year?
Well, I think the first one was thinking it would be easy to do this in 6 months. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, nah, that's so much time. Like, think about how much time that really is. And like, by the time you're done thinking about it, you probably got 3 months left. So that was really rough.
I think it was hard. This is the first time we had ever really dealt with working with a hotel as closely as we are now all the time. So I think we definitely learned a lot this year, like stuff from last year, just like, communication.
Just in terminology.
Yeah.
And this is something I think that you can all answer. These events aren't just for adults. These are for everybody. It's all ages. What kind of feedback did you get from parents? Like, people that are probably by and large buying the tickets and having their kids come and everything. Like, what has their feedback been like? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Has it been in the middle?
We've had really positive feedback from parents and stuff. I mean, maybe something negative on Twitter that I haven't seen yet, but everything's been really good. We know that the tickets to stuff like this are kind of expensive, and we actually prepared early on for people to really not be okay with that, like some people anyway. And aside from a few people saying, man, I wish I could go, we really haven't had any negative feedback about that or anything.
I mean, I would say on the road, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but it is still such an education process when you're trying to explain to a venue what YouTube is and why they should allow YouTube artists to come play who they've never heard of. So within that limitation, we did definitely last year on the Digitour, some of the venues were of questionable repute. They were bars, cut to the chase. And I think that was a challenge for parents saying, what kind of show is this? Like you're selling alcohol and people can smoke in here, and this is not appropriate for a 13-year-old. So I definitely we had a business email for the tour, and I definitely had to field quite a few concerned parents. I called a lot of them on the phone personally and talked to them that this was a friendly, show. But and then the flip side of that is the venue's like, I'm not going to make any money off the bar, right? There's a 13-year-olds coming in, so those are kind of in doing something like a tour. It's a little more challenging on that, parental front. Yeah.
Did you get any feedback in 789 about?
At 789, it was sort of interesting because there was like a lot of good feedback, but before the actual event, a lot of kids actually did contact me, and I did talk to a few parents. Like I had to explain it because it was still like early on YouTube, 2009, and I actually talked to parents and be like, it's okay. The internet isn't that scary. So it's like, I had to comfort them, like, it's okay, like, you can be there, it's not only your kids. And just, I had to explain to them, everyone can have a good time.
Right.
Because it was just out in public.
Right.
You could just do whatever. So.
And I think you have such an interesting perspective because 789 wasn't, a convention or anything like that. It was a very basic gathering. It was just kind of hanging out, and there was, you'd go to Central Park and hang out, or go to, the Empire State Building and, do touristy stuff and hang out. How do you view where YouTube kind of, I guess, events have come from? Because it started off with just like people gathering together and hanging out, and now we have big venues, big convention centers and things like that. Like, what do you think about that transition? How being, having kind of that side of things?
I guess I'm a little bit cynical because it was sort of like the last American community gathering, like by the community, but like before VidCon, before the playlists. It was just like people coming together, planning it together, and we get to just hang out. Like now, like, no offense to you guys.
Uh-oh, here comes drama.
I feel like it's a lot more geared towards business, and maybe it's just because I feel differently about everything, but I am very devoted to the community. I'm very passionate about the community and people in it, so I try to do everything for them, and like everything that I did for 789 came out of my pocket. I wasn't looking to make any money or anything like that, and it was difficult, and I feel, well, I'm not saying it's not difficult for you guys, it's extremely difficult, and I respect every single last one of you. But, I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot different of a vibe, because it was just open and free for everyone to go to 789.
Right.
We all just hung out in Columbus Circle, then we were just like, oh, let's go into the park, and then we just went off there. There was no plan.
Do you think that there's room for both? Like, why don't those gatherings happen? I guess individuals like Dave did a meetup in Australia, and Phil DeFranco did one in like Scotland and stuff, but I feel like that there is room for that.
Oh, there's absolutely room. Like I wouldn't be here if I didn't love the event. It's just like, there are still like all these events around, like they're small, but like you do still have like the big ones like Summer in the City in the UK,
right,
and things like that. And just the difficult thing is to compare them. It is open like for events like I did, and then you do have like the big planned events. You have like individual things that people do, like you have like the business days and things like that. And it's just, you can't really compare them. Like they're two different.
They're very
events.
different, yeah.
So there is absolutely space for both of them. I mean, it wouldn't really be a community if like you could only pay to go to events. Like you have to just be able to just hang out.
So is it going to be 12, 12, 12?
I don't. Well, I'm not sure how a gathering in December would be.
Have to do it that way.
Yeah, 789 was like the last one. You could do like a successful numbered gathering.
Where it would fall in the summer months.
Yeah.
And just kind of building on top of that, do you think that, because when VidCon first started, and I think that, I'm going to take off of your point of, of everything being free. I remember when VidCon was announced, I don't remember what YouTuber it was, but they went to go they went, I think, to the Los Angeles City Council. Do you remember what YouTuber it was? I don't remember. But it was one, YouTuber that lived in LA that was very upset that it was going to be charged for, and wanted to try and like go to the city council of Century City and things to like ban them from coming and everything like that. And obviously, VidCon still happened and playlist happened and all these things happen. But do you think that kind of the maturing of events, and this is for everyone, happened at the right time? Because like Sarah, even you brought up like, convincing people that it's, the value that they're going to pay while they watch all these videos for free, that the experience they're going to have is worth the money they're going to spend. is the community in a space where it's matured, where it is accepting of that, or do you think it's still very much in its infancy and it's still very hard to kind of sell people on selling?
Personally, I think that evolution was perfect, like perfect timing, because YouTube was becoming a lot more legitimate as time went on. And like, there's no cost you can put on an event like that, because at the first VidCon, I met my best friend that I have had for 2 years that I only talked to online, and there is no price that you can put on that, because it is such an experience meeting people that you have known for so long. And like, you can't hug them, you can't do this with them, and it's just like, I met one of my best friends that I've known for 4 years today, and there's no price you can put on that. Being able to hug them, being able to smile with them,
and being able to just hang out with and getting to hang out with them in person. Yeah. I mean, that's an experience that
I feel so strongly about gathering, because I enjoy seeing people being brought together like that.
No, I think that's an awesome point.
That's why I will throw $80 at Kevin's face so I can come.
Take my money, Kevin.
I think part of it's just like a market thing. I mean, you just can't get everybody to every part of the world for free. And I mean, look at the Digitour is $15 or something. I mean, that's like the smallest amount of money you could charge for a show. And when you think about like what gas costs to get across the country and everything, I feel like it's kind of like we're all in it together. Like, you know, take my $15. It's like a Kickstarter almost.
Yeah. Every cent costs, you know,
exactly, taking a little bit of responsibility to make it happen. I mean, and it's the same. They're definitely two different things, and they're both totally valid. I think gatherings should keep happening. I kind of hope you do another one soon.
I'm hoping so too.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a totally different vibe, and it's really cool to be able to have this thing where anybody can just come out to it for free and start meeting people and say hello and all that. And it's nice to have that, and it's nice to have, you know, AV and like a hotel room and all that stuff too. So it's nice to have both of them.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, and also just as somebody who owns a business that's based in this space, it is really important to show the industry that like this is legitimate, and look at this incredible community, and you know, and really get it. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I talked to who are like, when I went to Playlist or when I went to VidCon, like I finally got it. Like I didn't get it watching all these videos. I'm like, what is this thing? And then I see this community, I see this incredible power, and these fans and these people coming together, and you know, it really makes it real for the industry, and I think that helps everybody to be, you know, that we are all making a livelihood at creating content online, and to be able to, you know, be recognized as that and as a legitimate career path is super important.
Getting back to something, Kevin, for Playlist, what was and is kind of the goal for you for Playlist? Not just last year's or this year's, but kind of Playlist as an entity, and what do you want people to get out of it?
Our long-term goal is to keep fostering new creativity with it.
I think you should speak up a little bit.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. Our long-term goal is to keep fostering new creativity with it. Next year, we want to have even more stuff that's geared towards the people that are just getting their start in YouTube, towards people that just don't know what the next right step is, or they haven't met the right person to kind of help them get to the next right step. We've got like all of this collaborative and technical help stuff going on tomorrow and Sunday, and that's something we're adding this year, and we want, instead of 4 booths, to have maybe 5 or 6 next year with different types of things, so that you can get all sorts of different feedback from people that have done this. But we also want to expand it. We're thinking about maybe expanding the business portion of it. I feel like every single panel, including this one most likely, is going over because we've got interesting stuff to talk about.
Every panel is going over. We are running very late.
Sorry.
Yeah. And just one final thing before I get questions from the audience that I'm interested in. You know, Playlist is, you know, sponsored by different people, and what's it like getting sponsors, and what kind of support do you get from YouTube? And I think, you know, I think maybe both of you can answer that kind of question too, of how receptive is YouTube to these events? How hard is it to kind of get YouTube involved, if it's hard at all? Like, speak to kind of YouTube's influence in live events.
I'll speak to that real quick. Margaret is awesome and has been really,
yes, I will second that.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been great, and she's helped us with everything we could possibly get help with from YouTube. She's bringing cool people out here. She's going to have really cool stuff going on the stage tomorrow. Some announcements maybe, who knows. And the talk today I thought was really great, going over Google Plus and all that stuff. But the sponsors really do help this thing, because it would probably be like a $200 ticket for everybody about that. That's definitely a big thing here. But we've got people that it makes sense. You know, we've got some people giving away juice, raw foods, giving away that juice and stuff. So it's like you're in the hotel, you want something to drink, that kind of thing. All the way to YouTube is obviously the center of all of this stuff, or part of the center. I guess the community really is. And for them to really step up and support it is really cool. It says something about YouTube, and it really helps. Not just the event, it helps all the people that want to go to the event, meet new people, and grow, go back to YouTube and keep posting.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, they helped a ton in Digitour last year, and I mean, one of the great things about the tour last year was that we were really trying to foster community. Most of our hosts were people who were like the local YouTube personality in their, in their city. And so that was something that was really appealing to YouTube, and they were super supportive, and we couldn't have done it last year without them. And yeah, it was amazing, and I think it's smart for them, because this is where a lot of magic happens, and not just because we're at Disneyland, but
right.
or Disney World.
Yeah.
But because it is, it's so much different. I think a lot of even just like collaborations come out of it. Oh, hey, I really like your videos. Yeah, I like yours too. Okay, well, I've never had the guts to ask you, but now that we're hanging out by the pool or whatever, we can collaborate. And I think it continues to foster what makes YouTube so special, which is everyone helping each other.
Very true.
Because I mean, without events like these, you wouldn't be able to get nearly as many connections to other people as you would be able to. Like, I wouldn't have a lot of the friends and a lot of the people I care about without any of these events, without VidCon, without playlists, anything like that. Like, there are people in this room that I met 3 years ago at 79 that I'm still friends with today, and it's great. And on the YouTube part, like, I had one sponsor for 79, and it was actually District Lines. They gave us shirts. I still have like 5. And there was no direct support from YouTube. I think they tweeted about it once for everyone to have a good day, and then it was on the YouTube blog afterwards. And this was like back when I was still like getting into the community, oddly enough, and I fanboyed all of it. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
The fact that they supported that and they told people about it, it was fantastic. It was amazing.
Very cool. So I want to take maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most questions if people have them in the audience, if anyone has any questions.
Wait, real quick. How old were you when you did 79?
I was 18.
18? Yeah. That's awesome.
Wow. But yeah, if no one has any questions, then I think that we can move on to our next panel. And everyone can please a round of applause to our live event hosts. Find them around here, ask them questions, take pictures with them. They're awesome.